Hi there, it's Gordon here. I hope everybody's all right. It's been a while since I put a video up, and I think it's about time. I've been wanting to talk about something that's very, very important, I think, for any ex-Jehovah's Witness, not just for ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, but for anybody, I think, who really wants to get their life in order. 10 years ago, more or less 10 years ago, perhaps getting on for 11, I made a decision in my life. It wasn't to leave the Jehovah's Witness organization. It was long after that. But I realized that I was being trapped or being tricked into thinking a certain way. And so I made a decision to stop doing something. Now, before I tell you what the decision was, let me tell you what has happened since I made that decision. I actually made 3 decisions, but one of them was a major one. What has happened since then is in 10 years, I've written 2 books. I've done my degree whilst I worked. I've set up a business that went, okay. Set up another business which has been a tremendous success. I've completely changed my career twice. I have been able to take care of myself so much more, and at the same time I've spent 10 years learning, studying, improving myself, okay, and many of the things that I've been able to do as well. Why? How is it that I've been able to do so many things? I'm not saying that that's wonderful and I'm great. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm saying is this: when I talk to the normal person, okay, when I'm doing therapy with people and I say, look, this is what I want you to do. One of the reasons I get back for people not doing things is because they say, well, you know, I'm very busy and I didn't have time. Okay. And I always think, well, you've got lots of time. What you're saying is you haven't got any time available, or you haven't made it available. Okay. So what did I do 10 years ago? Simply this. I stopped watching the television. Okay. Now, here in the UK, you have to pay a license. I didn't pay my license. Okay. Now, when I say I stopped watching the television, I don't mean that I don't have a television. I do. But what I'm saying is I stopped watching the television that's spewed out every day to us. What I do now is I might watch a DVD, and we do perhaps 1 or 2 a week. So probably time viewing the television screen, I might spend 4 hours a week. Perhaps. Depends. Apart from that, I don't spend any time watching the TV. Now, why did I make that decision? Okay, at the time I didn't really know what was going on. But this all stems back to being an ex-Jehovah's Witness. Look, my recall of the television is this: that the news that they give you on the television is so out of whack with what's happening in the world. It does not represent what is happening in the world. It gives you, anybody who watches the news, and every now and again I'm forced to see some news because I'm in a place where the TV's on, or I'm in my mum's house where she has Sky News on 24 hours. Okay? When I see snippets of news, if I was taking that seriously, I would think that this world was awful. I would think that this was an awful place to live in. Okay? But let me tell you what's happened to me. In 10 years, I've realized one thing. I've realized that people are absolutely beautiful. I know now that people are really lovely people. Some people are in a bit of a state. Some people are not able to manage themselves. Some people have problems. And there are some bad people around. But I'm talking about the majority. And this is where I want to get to, first of all. When you watch the news, ask yourself, how much of the news is bad news? What percentage? Would you say 90%? Would you say more? 95% of the news is bad news? The last time, well, when I ask people this question, what I normally get is the answer 99% of the news is bad news, or all of it, and 1%, one tiny little bit, normally at the end when they say, oh, and a fireman, they used to say, oh, a fireman have rescued a cat from a tree. And everyone just go, oh, isn't that nice? But really, let's say 95% of the news is bad news. And it isn't just bad news. It isn't just them telling you what's happening. It's them putting their slant on it. And the words that they use, they are terrifying the world. The news is terrifying us. The news and the people who give the news and the television broadcasting companies are terrorists. And I say that because their job seems to be to terrify, either to terrify or to distract. Okay? And it doesn't represent what I see. What I see when I go out into the world and I talk to people is I see that 95%, 99% of the people in the world are beautiful people. Okay, what we see on the news doesn't represent the world. Think about this as a calculation. How many people in the world? Nearly 7 billion. Okay, if we were to take the representation of the news, then 6.9 billion people are horrible. That's what it seems. That's the way it's represented to us. But that's not what I see. What I see is exactly the other way around. That in the world, those 7 billion people, 6.9 billion of us are beautiful people, loving people, family people, conscientious workers, people who want the best for other people, people who don't want war, they don't want suffering, they don't want starvation. And yet, that's not what we see. Okay, so that's the first thing. So my advice to you, if you were to take any advice, and this is all just my opinion, of course it is, but particularly for you as an ex-Jehovah's Witness, turn off the news. The news is not representative of the world. Now, lots of people say to me this, and this is the standard, I can't believe how many times people say this. When I say I don't watch the television, I get comments like, huh, talk about sticking your head in the sand. Oh, well, that's nice that you keep yourself up to date. Other people say, that's really bad, you're a bad person, you should know what's going on in the world. Right. Let me give you my point of view. When you watch the news and you see that there is a war going on in a certain country, okay, what have you done about it? When you get the information, what do you then do? Do you take action? Do you lobby your person in the government? No. I would say 99% of us do nothing except worry about it, except go, what is the world coming to? What's happening in the world? This is a crazy world. It isn't a crazy world. A very small percentage of people are crazy, typically the people who are leading it. But we are beautiful people. Okay? So, what's the point in steeping yourself in all the bad stuff that's happening in the world when there's nothing you can do about it? And that's the truth of the matter. There is nothing you can do about it. How are you going to stop the war? How are you going to stop these governments creating wars so that they can have oil, so that they can have minerals and the good things from a country? How are you going to stop these countries from selling arms to the enemies and then killing them? How are you going to do that? You're not able to. And so what is the point in having it in your face all the time? I think if we are going to make a change in this world, what we need to do is to focus on our people that are around us, the people that are around us, because they're the people that we can influence. And I think it's far more valuable, I don't know if you agree with me, I think it's more valuable to influence somebody to do something very nice for somebody who you meet or who you see, than it is to worry without reason and without power about something that's going on in another country. Okay? So, my advice is don't be terrorized. Okay? These things are happening. You're worrying about it or not worrying about it will not change it. In fact, there's an idea in this world that we are what we think about, and what we think about happens. And so if you spend your whole time thinking that the world is bad, then that's what you're going to see. And perhaps that's what we're creating. But who knows? That's another part of the metaphysics of life. Okay, so the other thing that I did was I switched the television off. Why? Think about this. How many spare hours in a week do you have? We sleep for a third of our life. Okay, so out of 24 hours, we sleep for 8 hours. Okay, so that leaves us 14. We poo and we wee for another hour. All right, that leaves us 13. We eat for, let's say, 2 hours. So that leaves us 11. Okay, and then we travel backwards and forwards to work and do our bits and pieces. Probably an hour a day. That leaves us with 10 hours a day. Okay, and then we have other bits and pieces that we have to do. Our shopping, we have to do the housework, we have to do other things. That might be another couple of hours a day. All right, so we're left with 8 hours a day if we're lucky. What do we do with those? Well, let me tell you that the average person watches between 30 and 40 hours of television a week. All right, that's what we do with our time. So when I talk to people, they say, I don't have any time. And it's true, they don't. Because they watch the television. All I did was I freed up time. I freed up all those hours. And suddenly, I was able to do so much. So much. Overlapping things. And I continued to do so. The television is a distraction. When I ask people, I say, I don't watch the television because I don't feel that there's any value to my life. I feel that the television is stealing hours rather than giving anything. And most people say that is not true. Okay, that is not true. There are some good things on the television, and I say which things are very good on the television. And I have only in 10 years ever had one answer. Only one answer. And it might be going through your mind now. And that answer is, well, there are some really good, interesting documentaries about nature, about animals. That's what everybody says. Everybody, when I push them into a corner and say, tell me what's of value. Tell me what's really adding to your life. Now, if that's the best that the television has to offer, I don't know about you, but I don't think documentaries are on every moment of every day. And if there were, you wouldn't watch them all. Okay? And for anything that you wanted to see, you could go on YouTube and tap in animal documentaries and you'd have them like this. Okay? What else? While I'm on a roll. In between all the programs, you have what are called adverts. Okay? Advertising things. Now, let me tell you, do you think the people who advertise have an idea of how powerful advertising is? Do you think that the multi-billion, trillion-pound companies that advertise, the pharmaceutical companies in the US, any company that advertises, have an absolute perfect idea of how to influence you? The bottom line is this: when you are watching TV, you are in a state of hypnosis. Okay? And it happens within seconds when you start to watch the TV. You're in hypnosis. They know that. When you are in hypnosis, they can bang ideas into you that distract you here. Pretty people jumping up and down. Buy this, buy this, buy this. Okay? It might seem overly simplistic what I'm saying, but I'm telling you that they influence. They are influencing the world to buy rubbish they don't need constantly. We buy and we throw away. Why? Because we are told that this will bring us happiness through every message that we get in the adverts. I stepped out of that, and I can tell you how good I feel now. How good I feel about myself. How unnecessary it is for me to have surround myself with things. Everybody seems to surround themselves with things, and they're still there unhappy. Still unhappy. No matter how many things they buy, they're still unhappy. Why is that? Because happiness comes from within out. It's intrinsic, not extrinsic. Okay? But our society, the television tells you, you want to be happy? Take this pill. You want to be happy? Buy our product. You want to have beautiful teeth? Brush your teeth with our product. You want to be slim? Eat our food. And they're all lies. They're all lies because they don't fulfill the promise. It's a myth. And that's why I don't watch the TV. And that's why my life has changed so much. I'm so grateful. I thank whoever I need to thank for giving me the insight to switch the TV off. So this is the question to you. It might be dramatic. When I suggest this to people to get frightened because the TV is such a fundamental part of their life, not everybody, but the majority of people, 30 to 40 hours a week, my test to you or my question to you is truly ask yourself, how many hours a week do you spend watching the TV? And if you didn't watch the TV, if you didn't, what would you do with that time? Could it be as radical as to suggest that you actually started following your bliss? Doing something that you really have always wanted to do, but you've never had time? Why not think about that? Because I'm telling you, the television creates depression. It creates anxiety and it creates slothfulness. Because there's nothing that you want to do. And we can sit for hours waiting for our favorite program to come on, and we'll sit watching for hours waiting for 1 half-hour program, wasting our lives. And the question is, how much longer do you want to do that? And if it's forever, if it's all of your life, and if you're happy, God bless you. But if you've got a niggling feeling that you might be just wasting your life, then why not think about it? Write down how many hours you watch. What could you do in that time? The world is your oyster. All right, I'm leaving you. That's me. That's my rant over. Speak to you later. Bye.